Shouty Shows. Let's get to it, Ben. What do we have for this week?
I do believe a motivated Aaron Rodgers is better than Sam Darnold,
Shannon,
unless Darnold goes back to the system.
Shannon, that ain't the reason to support Aaron Rodgers, Shannon, over Sam Darnold. Here's the reason. The Minnesota Vikings are 14-2.
Oh, gosh.
They said that's right, Shannon.
Weeks.
I'm going right back there. Shannon, you remember this when Dio was raving about him? How do you forget that? You usually catch this stuff, Shannon. This man was raving about Sam Darnold. They're pouring water on him like he had won a championship. They didn't even win a division yet. And this man was celebrating them. And I said, yo, did he win something? Did I miss something? What the hell did he win? You still got to go to Detroit in the season finale. There's 13 guys on the injury reserve on the defensive side of the ball. What's he going to do? I mean, he's going to have a field day. They got blown out. And then after that, Minnesota went in the first round, got sent home. Just like that. That's Sam Darnold. I'm not picking Sam Darnold over Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah. One thing we're missing from not being in studio together is looking at each other's faces when we get to hear these for the first time.
I don't understand what determines the volume level, because Stephen A has, segments, bits where it's like it's quiet and it's, measured and it's like, let me tell you things. And then it's times like that where it's like someone's just jabbed him with an EpiPen or something. And he's like, this one is going to be at like 200% volume. We're just going for it, boys. This is where we're going. I don't get what the determining factor is for which style he delivers it in.
It's a good question. If we ever get him on can we get Stephen A on the show? Think we get Stephen A on the show to ask him about the art?
Lebitard had him on and told him to his face that he hates what he's done to the media landscape. He seems to be willing to handle it. If he's going to be the Democratic presidential nominee at some point, he's going to have to deal with some harsh questioning. And I think we're the people to deliver it to him.
Stephen A, have you ruined media over the last 15 years? Is it all you? Is it your fault?
Are you about to ruin politics the same way you've ruined sports media?
I mean, I think he's more reasonable politically than he is with sports.
I also feel like politics has already been ruined before he got anywhere near it, so it's not like he can make it worse.
What was the argument? I don't even know what the argument was. A motivated Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's the thing.
Than a Sam Darnold.
It took me until like his last couple of words to figure out the point he was even making.
I mean, was Aaron Rodgers not motivated last year? Was he just sleepwalking to 5 wins? Wasn't he motivated? He was coming off an Achilles. He was trying to prove everybody wrong. Be the next 40-year-old quarterback to defy age.
He was certainly motivated at the start. It felt like as the year wore on, Rodgers' motivation dwindled.
Well, that's part of the problem. That is part of the problem, right? If you're bringing in a 40-year-old quarterback, you want to probably bring in elite leadership and everything else around it, the stuff that Brady brought to the table and the reason why they won a Super Bowl when he was 43. So, yeah, you're not necessarily getting that with Rodgers.
In every capacity, Darnold is a better option than Rodgers right now. I mean, his ceiling is higher, I think, based off what we saw last year versus Rodgers being 41 and, busted. He's a long-term option as opposed to a short. Like in every way, he's a better option than Aaron Rodgers right now. So the end.
All right. What's next? What do we have?
Deebo's the best player in football when the ball's in his hands. Running back or wide receiver. Okay? Because I can put you in the backfield, make plays. I can put you at wide receiver, make plays. He's a guy that whoever he's playing, whoever's on the game plan with Deebo, one thing about Deebo, he is a baller. The easiest thing to coach in football is a dog. Because I don't have to get you motivated. I don't have to figure out how to get you the ball. I know if I get you the ball, I know what you're going to do with it. And Deebo is that type of player.
The best player in the NFL with the ball in his hands. Your thoughts?
I mean, I think if you're talking about Deebo at his best, like peak Deebo, I think you can make that argument. You can definitely, maybe not the best player with the ball in his hands, but definitely like one of the best players in the NFL because of that position flexibility. Like I made that argument, a few years ago, writing kind of PFF top 50 lists or PFF 101 lists, like it's almost like the Travis Hunter Heisman case, right? Like in either one of them on their own, was he the Was he the best receiver in the nation last year? Was he the best cornerback in the nation last year? Probably not. But was he doing both of them at the same time, which is like completely unprecedented? Yes. That's why he's the best player in college football. Like, is Deebo the best wide receiver in the NFL? No. Is he the best running back in the NFL? No. But is he doing both at the same time in this weird hybrid role that's an absolute nightmare to defend? Yes. And that was what made him special. And I think one of the best players in the NFL. We haven't seen that guy for a while, though. And that is the question. Like, whatever he was at his peak, I don't think you can make the argument that he is unquestionably that right now.
I also don't think Washington wants to use Deebo the same way that he was used at his peak, right? This is, you called Kyle Shanahan Tin Cup, right? He makes the best of everything that he has. And he did it with Jimmy Garoppolo at quarterback. And when Jimmy Garoppolo is your quarterback, you do need to rely on Deebo and Ayuk and Kittle and everybody that they have and get the ball into their hands. The reason why Brock Purdy didn't get credit for a while statistically, and Jimmy Garoppolo's statistics were bumped up, is because we all remember seeing a 3rd and 13 screen to Deebo that turns into a first down, and it's like, whoa, how did he do that again? He was special, but to your point, he hasn't done that in a while. But Washington has Jaden Daniels. He still has to be the star of that offense. So I don't think we need to feed Deebo 15 carries and 10 more touches through the air. Just go out and play football. And every now and again, you're in the backfield and you're catching screens and you're the wide receiver too. Just go be Deebo and you'll be fine.
We also don't know if Deebo wants to do that yet. Like, independent of what Washington wants to use him, does Deebo want that kind of backfield workload that he had previously in his career now that injuries have started to take hold and be a factor of him? I will say, look, I think the fact that it's a silly claim based off the last couple of years of Deebo's career, right? It might have had some kind of sense a couple of years ago, but right now, if you're trying to make that argument, it smacks of a guy that hasn't watched Deebo play in the last couple of years. Number two, I do think, though, that people are like, he's washed. If he wasn't, why would San Francisco get rid of him? The 49ers are getting rid of him because of his contract, not because they think he can't play anymore, right? Like, maybe they think he's declined a bit or that his best years are behind him, but it's not a one-to-one. San Francisco got rid of this guy, ergo he's damaged goods and is a busted flush at this point. Like, that's not how it works. We talked about it with the Joe Thuney contract. Like, the deals are important here. Deals age. These affect running back, or these affect player values beyond simply, is he good? Yes or no.
Like I said, it's difficult to see good play. Like, you immediately assume, if he goes for a 5, if he goes for a 4, he must be old. In baseball, you have veteran players traded for prospects all the time, and that's just a team's way of getting younger. In football, you don't have the young prospect coming back in return. You have the cap space coming back in return. So it doesn't mean that the guy's washed. It just means, again, life cycle wise, teams need more financial flexibility and sometimes have to get rid of good players, even when they're still good. So, all right, one more to wrap up.
You made your money. You can retire today.
Yeah.
But you play outside of quarterback, the most important position in the sport. If a good team called you up and said, dude, 2 years, would you go play?
I'm on a good team, so no.
So you're not going to play?
I'm on a good team already.
Well, I know, but I mean.
So nobody else can call me.
This is it.
Dolphins only, yeah.
And that's it.
That's it.
But you're kind of pausing.
I'm not. I think it's natural pauses in a conversation. You know what I mean?
That's funny.
Oh, no, that's so awkward. Yeah, so that's Teron Armstead is not a free agent. Colin didn't know.
Colin didn't know. I mean, look, Colin does a lot of television. You know, a lot of television.
I empathize.
That man's on there for hours at a time.
For instance, you and I apparently keep saying that Peter Skoronski was picked at 7
exactly
overall.
I was going to bring up. I was going to be like, look, from my glass house, I am not going to sling the stone that people do not make mistakes. For example, we keep saying Skoronski was drafted 7 overall instead of 11, where apparently they did draft him. Look, pieces of information will be incorrect in your brain when you're doing as much television. And I will say, look, not knowing that Teron Armstead is not a free agent this year, particularly when he's like restructured contracts and stuff, is far less of an egregious information gap for a Shouty Show talking head than some of the crap that has come out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth that, like, you know, over the years when they ask him to talk football and he's talking about players that haven't been on a team for like 2 years, like that's problematic. Gaps of information, not knowing that a dude it wasn't a free agent. Now it's more awkward when that dude is sitting right in front of you and you're arguing with him about it. but I'm not willing to complete. And to be actually, no, let's start over. This is not a Colin Cowherd failing. This is a failing of producers, right? This is effectively whoever Fox's FS1's version of Ben Allen was not in this guy's ear immediately and be like, dude, he's not a free agent. Shut up. That's the failing here. Colin's going to make a mistake because everybody's out here. We're all human. To err is natural. The guy in his ear needed to be like, dude, shut up. He's not a free agent. He's telling you he's not a free agent. Wrap it up, Colin. Go in a different direction. That didn't happen. It's his fault.
You're right. Always blame the producers, right? I mean, Ben didn't catch me saying Skoronski was picked at 7.
It's true.
He didn't come up and say, hey, man, you're wrong. It was 11. Stop saying that. Stop saying that. It was 11. Tyree Wilson was at 7. I should know that. I talk about that all the time. Tyree Wilson at 7. Skoronski's 11. So here we are. Look at us, Sam. You've changed through the years, too. You would have attacked him. You would have attacked Colin years ago until you get a little bit more entrenched in the industry. You empathize with the host. You know how tough it is to have all that knowledge in your brain. Plus, you're older. Think about in your 40s how much knowledge is just like disappearing into just filing cabinets in your brain that you can't access anymore. So I empathize with Colin the same way that you do.
Not just knowledge, but yeah, like now that you're in your 40s, you and I, like just the pieces of your brain that don't fire when you want them to, and you're like, come on, it's there. I know it's there. Let's go. And it just doesn't surface. Imagine what it must be for Colin. He's older than we are.
He's older than us. I'm losing names left and right in my 40s.
I do have some sympathy for that. And I also, now I have a much tighter focus for my ire, and it's directed largely towards Stephen A. and Mad Dog, right? Other people, it's like, I mean, I don't like this content, but I can live with it. Whereas those two, it's like, this is disgusting, and I hate that it exists.
Honest mistakes are more acceptable than, playing parts that ruin media.
Well, honest mistakes within a margin of, like, you should know that, right? Like, should Colin know that Teron Armstead is not a free agent, particularly when he's talking to Teron Armstead? Sure. Is it a more excusable lapse of knowledge than Stephen A. talking about players that are important in the upcoming game that haven't been on that roster for like 2 years? Different level of goof here.
All right. So Ben's fighting back in the chat. Producers are fighting back. We're not going to blame Ben. Ben does a great job here.
Wait till he jumps into
always
the
done a
actual
great
show
job
to
for
fight
us.
back. That's when he's really reclaiming the power.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.